my all due disrespect is to the entire Republican Party. And let me explain why before people
Mm.
get in their feelings about this.
Woo!
Um, over the last day or 2 days or whatever, this news came out where this text group, whatever it is, basically was leaked from these young Republicans. It was an organization, and basically for everyone who has ever thought that Republicans are racist, homophobic, sexist, misogynist, anything that you had a feeling of like that, there are texts that were leaked from this that confirm every single one of those things. Some dude tried to come out and talk about like, oh, once again, this is just locker room talk getting brought out. Someone posted a screenshot from it where they were talking about if I wanted to see, it was talking about sports, and it said if I wanted to see a black dude work out, I'd go to the zoo. Talking about like them being apes. It was something along the lines of that. And it was like, that's what you would say to a black person in the locker room. And it was like there's so much worse shit in there. People talking about how they love Hitler and talking about raping political opponents. I mean, it's bad. It's very, very bad. And so that in itself, bad. It's an awful look. For a lot of people who feel this way about this party, it confirms what people have already thought. But this is only just the first half of my all due disrespect and why it's not just this group of people, but it's the whole party. This is a perfect example. A moment like this is a perfect example of your party to say, wow, this is the view that people have of us. Let's go ahead and come out here publicly and say, we do not condone this type of behavior. Disavow it. Say this is wrong. Come out here and say that,
Yeah.
hey, what they're doing over there does not represent the Republican Party as a whole. Instead, what I want to tell you guys is what JD Vance had to say. JD Vance got on this motherfucker on the video or something. I watched a video of it where he's talking about how he's sick and tired of this cancel culture and the fact that people will take, behind the scenes footage of basically your worst moments and try to ruin your life with it. And that these are kids and that they should not be held responsible. First of all, to my understanding, this is people in their 20s. Second of all, I'm not too young to remember last month when JD Vance was talking about people making fun of Charlie Kirk getting killed and saying to call their places of employment to get them fired for making fun of JD Vance or of Charlie Kirk getting killed. But instead now, when we got all this other, some of the most like terrible shit you've ever seen, he's going to chalk it up to just boys making edgy jokes because they're young. The GOP party, to me, it is the party of it is good for me, but not for thee. That's the GOP to me. And I can't believe it. And the last thing too is you can even tell some of that shit slipped out of him too, because he was said, I always tell my kids, don't put any of this online. Don't put it somewhere where they can use it against you. It's not. I'd raise my kids to not fucking talk about raping people or loving Hitler or black people being gorillas. I tell my kids not to put this shit online because they'll use it against you. That's my all due disrespect.
No, it's pretty disgusting. I agree with you on that. I mean, and it's funny you sent me something on that this afternoon. I got another friend that texted me. My buddy Brian texted me like 10 minutes later the same message. Just like, what the fuck happened with this? And I talked to my girl about it, tonight, and she was like, "Oh, it sounds like they found a fork in the kitchen." Like, it's actually that was her reaction, bro, and it's funny, but it's really sad because it just kind of verifies what a lot of people just assume. And I think you got to be careful here too, Spence, when we talk about the entire GOP party. It's hard to paint people like that with a broad brush. You can't. We can't say that.
No,
Like,
I'm not saying that.
but
I'm not saying that every
but
Republican is bad. What I'm saying is that I want to see more people using this time to speak out against it, because it's the perfect time
yeah,
for you to change the
yeah. No,
narrative
I
of your
agree.
party.
The fact that Vance didn't come out and immediately denounce the type of language and the type of things that were being said in this chat is really like unbelievable to me. Like, if Obama, if there was a white group chat, or if there was a black group chat and Obama was talking shit about white people and that got leaked, like everybody would go
Oh
crazy.
yeah.
Like, you have to think about these things from like the opposite perspective, and the fact that like that they're not standing up against this and saying, number one, these people need to be removed from their job in this party. Number two, like, this is not the way we as Americans talk. This is not the way we as United States people in the United States talk about each other. Like, and the glorification of the Nazi Germany is really, really disturbing to me. I really don't like it at all, man. I just like, would you like, I, I don't know, man. Like, people just have no empathy anymore. Like, imagine living through that time, and if you were Jewish, if you were, black, if you were Mexican, if you were a handicapped person, if you had a, a mental disorder, if you had any of that stuff, you were marked. And the way they're joking about sending people to gas chambers, that's fucking sick. That's not funny. That's fucking sick. Like, y'all got a problem if you're talking about that kind of stuff. That's not stuff you joke about in life.
Um, I just want to say too, because they're all calling it basically character assassination now too. The way these aren't kids; these are not under 18-year-olds. From the best of my knowledge of the situation, these are young adults. The way that you are behind closed doors is the real you. What you show to the world is your public persona. For us to find out how you actually talk and what you think is funny behind closed doors, that's the real you. So it's not character assassination; it's an unveiling of who you truly are. And if you are, and I'm not saying that everybody as a young kid hasn't made bad jokes. I would hope that as you get older, you learn and grow from that. And if you like to sit around in a group of that many people and tell those kind of jokes, I think that you're a sick person, and I don't want anything to do with you.
And
That's
you know
really
what though? I'm really glad I went to the public schools, man. I grew up around people that were way different than me, and that I feel like has helped me become just an accepting individual, man. I don't judge people based on the way you look or where you're from. I don't, like, I judge you by your actions. I judge you by the way you treat others, and I think that means a lot, and that says a lot. And I think that it's just really fucked up, man, the way we basically have gotten to a place where we just, if you have only been around white people, that's all you know. Like, that's the only world that you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, if you've never spent any time, around people that are different than you just have no acceptance of it, and you don't understand it. And people are afraid of what they don't understand.
and
Yeah.
And if you got to know your neighbors a little more, and if you opened up and you broke bread with somebody and you talked to people more and you actually open your mind and listen, everybody just wants the same things at the end of the day, man. You want to be able to make some money, pay your bills, take care of your family, try to stay healthy. Like we're all, like, it's been debunked that we're not that different at the end
mhm,
of the day.
The one thing that I
You
absolutely,
want
know.
we all
the
want the
one
same thing.
the one thing that I want to add to that though is like not necessarily in a counterance of your point, but it's like people talk about how much division there is in this country between the both sides of things. And it's like I genuinely want someone to sit down and explain to me like I'm 5 how me as a black man I'm supposed to look and see these kind of messages and then be like I'm supposed to work together with this person to accomplish something, knowing that this is how they feel about me.
Mhm.
It's so hard. I mean, it's so hard to want to. I hear you. I mean, so many. I mean, of the alt left and alt right people, uh, and especially the political heads, have become so much more about party over principle. You know, I feel like when we were kids, in the early 2000s, um, it felt like, and like at late 90s, early 2000s, it felt like which I went through two different sides of the party. Then I felt like the country was, at the end of the day, trusting that the president was on principle. Obama, we trusted he was on principle regardless of what his party was like. But then we hit this totally like divided point in our country now, where I think both sides have become totally just agree with your party and don't give a crap about what it means. Which, like, JD Vance sitting here defending people shouting Nazi slurs and Nazi whatever, Nazi chants, whatever it is ridiculous. Sitting here, even not even necessarily defending, but to even try to, like, soften the blow. I mean, if they were, I'm assuming they were white boys, I mean, or white men, because they were in their 20s. But like, if they were any other color, like what? I don't think he's standing up there and being like, "Well, we shouldn't necessarily
No.
judge the book by its cover." It's just he's totally become. But I don't know. It's a sick place in time that we're in for sure.
The only
What do you think? What do you think right now about like just where we are and where we're going, like into 2026, like the midterms coming, like?
the
And Spencer, I remember like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, we were sitting in your apartment. I remember telling you like Trump is dangerous.
yeah.
And
This is
I remember like
worse than I
having
could
a
have
really long
expected.
conversation with you about that. I think it was before 2016. I think it was might have been 10 years ago, bro. Like it was a long time ago now that I think about it. But
You were hip.
I specifically remember sitting in your apartment talking to you and a couple other people about that, man. And I've been warning people ever since. Like this guy is not out to help anyone but himself. And I think when you're in power, you can use power to serve yourself, or you can use power to serve others. And all these guys are just using power to serve themselves. That's it, and you can see it. And they're helping their billionaire buddies, and they're laughing at all the rest of us. You know,
The
that's
only
that's what's happening.
the only thing that I'll say to you, Kyle, when you're talking about the both sides of things, 'cause I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like both sides of shit aren't fucked up. And what I will say is that I have no allegiance specifically to the Democrats. There's nothing for me on the right, and this is an example of that. Like, it's not even that I picked one. One one does not want me regardless. Like, you know what I mean? Like, where else am I going to go? Like, you know what I mean? I got two candidates. We see what's on this side of the fucking curtain. Number one, it's not good. It does not want me, and I don't want them.
For sure.
So by what is it? Value of elimination. This is where I got to go.
Honestly,
and I don't like what's happening over here.
I feel the same way about. I feel very similarly about, like, not necessarily the Democratic Party, but just about like where the political landscape like was heading with the left. Like about my life, like the blue collar life was like I felt like was at jeopardy. And I was desperate. So yeah, things shook out how they shook out. I don't love, the decisions I've made all the way across the board, but that's why I think there's so many more people like us that are so much closer in the middle that, like, I was that close to being on the other side. I was that close. And, I don't consider myself on any side necessarily because I don't like either one, because they're both toxic and like pushing each
I
other
think of
down.
I look at the human beings, like we vote for people, like, and I
Sure.
look at Kamala Harris, who is the multiracial daughter of immigrants, who was self-educated, had an actual career in government, lived her life, defending people against corporations and things like that were trying to be predatory towards people. And like,
Yeah.
did she have some
I
blemishes on
loved.
her resume too? Sure.
Sure.
But I was proud to cast my vote and try to elect our first Black female president. Like, I think that was a huge moment for America that we just completely missed, man.
I,
Like we missed the mark on
yeah,
that one.
I hear you. I hear you. I mean, I think people were concerned about her credibility more than anything, and
And Trump's credible?
I don't know that he
You mean
is.
to tell me you
I,
trust the shit coming out of his mouth every
I'm
day?
not gonna sit here and get in a debate with you here, Matt, bro. I'm not gonna sit here and defend my vote. I'm not here
I
doing
know.
that,
I know.
But
The one,
And I'm
but
not attacking. And I'm not
I know
attacking
you
you
are. I know
either.
you are. I get, dude. We've had shitty options for 8 years.
Yeah.
the one thing
12
that I
years.
want to the one
So,
thing that I want to try to pull us back
well,
together
8
with is the
years. Yeah.
fact that, like, part of the reason, Kyle, you and I can disagree on certain shit and still be friends is the fact that you're different from, and this is why I'm saying it's not everybody that votes one way, but it's like you're different in the sense that, like, look, I'm gonna come to you and say, do you see what your party's doing? And you're like, yeah, that's fucked up. Why would you talk about someone like that? And
Right.
because we're humans at the end of the day, and if there's more people like that,
How
I think we
about
can get along. But that's what
I'll
pisses me
say
off about
this.
Vance is the fact that I'm gonna carry
He
water for these
can't do
motherfuckers.
that. He can't be like,
Yes,
yes, that's
exactly.
fucked up. And I
Yes.
disagree with
I'll
that.
say this.
I hate that. Like, I hate that I voted for a guy that's going to do that. I didn't think he was going to do that. Their campaign showed me that that wasn't going to
They
happen.
lied. Yeah, they lied.
Yeah.
They lied.
And
And
I know,
I'll say this too,
yeah,
like,
they all were. All of them
this is
are.
all I say. All I have to say is people make mistakes, right? Everyone makes mistakes. The ones who refuse to admit it are the ones you cannot trust. And right now, we are seeing a lot of people refusing to admit their mistakes in their roles in government and trying to just cover it up and spin and piss on our necks and call it rain.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sick of it. So,
I'm with you.
Amen.
but we'll get
Let
through it as a country, man. And we got to pull together. We got to have discussions like this where, like Kyle, I respect you very much for saying I don't feel like I made the best decision. That takes a lot of fucking self-reflection and like a lot of honesty to say that. So, we got to be vulnerable. Like I make mistakes too. I do dumb shit all the time, and I don't know all the facts. I don't know all the answers. The fact of the matter is, some of this shit's so complicated. We know 1% of the story, and the other 99 influences decisions that we don't have that information to have to make. So we have the benefit of being able to be the armchair quarterbacks, picking the players on the field apart and
True
picking
that.
these politicians apart.
Yep.
um
the
it's easy to stand on the sidelines and throw and hurl insults at them, but
the last thing that I'll say is just to wrap this up is just the fact that I don't think any of the three of us up here are ignorant enough to think that either side gives a fuck about the three of us.
no,
No.
I think you're right.
No.